Thank you for showing up. It's a very small amount of us, but maybe we can just have a conversation instead of me just talking. My name is Beata. Probably you can read that. I'm originally from Poland, but I live in the United States for the last 8 years. And my journey to US actually was through resilience. But what do you think? Resilience and happiness, is it the inside thing? Is it coming from within? Or it's the outside that maybe when we have this great job, then we're happy. Maybe when we have this excellent partner and some rich, it's what gives us happiness or something deep inside. And can you give me, yeah, do you want to talk or you just want to listen? Can you share your experience? Did you go through, what was your journey to happiness and resilience, or one or the other? Anyone wants to share? What's your name?
Norita.
Norita, please.
I grew up with English not my first language, so I've never heard the word resilience. Don't even know what it means.
Okay.
But I came across the word and learned about the word when I had a brain injury in 2006. I was a casino chief manager, the first female Asian casino manager, and I had a fall and I had to learn how to write, speak all over again. So it was a long period of recovery. I nearly lose hope. I nearly think life was over. But luckily I managed to pull myself back out. And I still live with the chronic pains until today. But through resilience, I learned a lot of things. I learned about, compassion for myself and others. I learned about, when to be soft and when to be, when to be strong, Yeah.
So resilience for you is the strength, yes?
Yes, but in different layers, yeah.
In different layers.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Well,
you're an expert, so that's good to hear.
So it's Norita, to be fair.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, for me it was becoming attempted murder victim back in 2013, which has led to me understanding resilience and going on to speak about resilience in various environments, whether it be networking and self-development groups, whether it be in school classrooms and mental health groups and such like. And for me, resilience is the belief coming from within that to choose how dark things get, not only can you get through it, but you can emerge a stronger, more positive and improved version of yourself. And that is the message that I use my talk to get across to my audiences.
That's great. Anyone wants to share? Bridget?
Actually, I don't really know the definition of resilience. I just want to translate.
Okay, for me, resilience is the very the basic definition. It's more deeper, but it's bouncing back from adversity. So when you go through difficult times and you find strength to come back and live again and enjoy life again.
Like surrender.
It's like to recover quickly from a difficultness or something tough that you experienced in life.
Every
just give it
single
up.
person at some point in life experience resilience. We all go, we are humans, we go through it. In my case, I also experienced loss, but it was a little bit different. I believe that whatever loss we experience, the pain is the same, and we can find ourselves in this dark places that sometimes we are staying there too long, and when we find resilience, we are able to come back and start enjoying life again quicker. So maybe I will ask you a question. How many of you felt when you were going through your difficult situations that you kind of lost yourself during that experience? Yes. So for me, the moment when I felt that I lost everything was, I was for 11 years, I was in this wonderful relationship with a beautiful man. He made me feel wanted, pretty, loved, important, and it's all what I knew. And on July 6, 2008, I thought that I know where my life is going and how it's going to look like. And it's my birthday, by the way. I was so wrong. On the July 6th of 2008, my beautiful man, instead of birthday wishes, he said that he wants to start a new life, but without me. On that day, I crashed. My life was already planned. I knew how it's gonna be, how many kids we're gonna have, what kind of house, cars, everything was planned. Well, it took me a couple of years, and like you said, I was in a dark place. And again, looking from a distance, it's like, oh my gosh, it was just a relationship. No, the events, things, people that are important to you in life make you feel lost, and you have to go through grief to stand up again. And it was a long process for me, but I'm here today, and I share this message with other women. I work with women, that you're not alone, and when you feel like you don't have enough power anymore, please find the tribe. And where we can find better tribe than WEF? Yeah? Do you think like we are brothers and sisters and we share the same message to help each other? So I was reaching for help to many people, many institutions, but like we started, it has to be your inner journey. You have to go deep inside to find your strength. And no one from the outside can do it for you, but they can support you. When you feel that you don't have energy to do it, they will say, yes, you can do it. Yes, you can do it. And remember, universe always works in our favor. So when I felt that, and I thought that I lost my loved one, to be honest, I just found out, I realized that the universe created a new space for me where I could start work on my new dreams. So I lost my love, but I found even greatest love. I found, and the name of this love is my life purpose. And life purpose gives you strength, makes you feel that you can do anything because you don't focus on yourself anymore and on your fake stories in your mind that you created when going through hard times. You focus on others. You discover that there is this huge entire world for you, and they need you. They need your help. Would you like to add something?
No, they were great.
No, yeah, please share. He's another expert of resilience, so we would like to hear it. We would like to say anything. Would you like to join me? Or just, yeah, you can stay from the stage and start.
Say you want to first, Beata, and then with time. Share a bit more.
Okay, okay. So, like I said, going through hard times going through hard times is resilience because you build your strength. For me, when I was going through that journey, I found out that belief in yourself is a very important thing. Finding the tribe, discovering your dream, and going for it, it will be helpful. And you have to take actions. You cannot expect that the world is going to deliver whatever you want. You have to take an actions. And my action was recently, it was like 2 weeks ago, I want to be bold. When this opportunity came, that, okay, I'm not maybe the Tony Robbins, but yes, I want to be part of Women's Economic Forum and I want to share my message. And like I just was saying, you giving me strength, you build my belief in myself, and it's the power of tribe. And I think it's what this Women's Economic Forum, what is happening right now, is about. Being part of the tribe and help each other. And I encourage everyone to reach out to each other and ask, what can I do for you? Is there anything that I can be of service? And like we started, resilience comes from within. And how about happiness? Do we need happiness to be resilient, or do we have to be happy to the other way? What do you think?
Actually, if I may, put in my
Yes, please.
Yeah, my experience around it. I feel that healing is obviously a very, very long journey, and I do not know if you at all reach the end point, but it is a process. And resilience is something that we are very often advised. Don't even think if there is something that we have gone through, and there would be advisors and well-wishers who would say, don't even think about it. And in a way, we think of resilience as that. Don't even think about it. Concentrate on the good parts, concentrate on your new life or whatever it is. Losing a loved one, breaking your heart, whatever it is, don't even think about it, I feel, is a bad suggestion. It is perhaps one of the early steps, but in order to pursue happiness in whatever form you say, happiness, there are 8 types of happiness. It can be pleasure, it can be peace, but if we are really looking for compassion, self-compassion, self-actualization, that journey is longer and much broader than the concept of resilience or suppression of some kind. Don't even think about it, look here. For that, I believe we have to, frankly, it's more of a question to you. I have heard of 2 kinds of suggestions. One is that in order to uproot those triggers from inside or uproot that trauma from inside you, you have to feel it. Like feel it all out and then kind of, come to a point of winning your fears. And the other kind is obviously not to even think about it and to think other things instead, So, be a gatekeeper of your mind. What do you think is the right way and what is the more long-term or more healing, compassionate way of dealing with yourself?
From my own experience, I agree with part of what you said. You have to go through your feelings. You have to go through experience and admit, yes, it happened to me, but how I react to it is more important. So the event is event, but how we react to it and how we're gonna live with it, it's our choice, and we always have a choice. And mind gate, that it's very important. I love that how you say it. So in my work with ladies and my own experience, I learned that mind mind is very important. Everything starts with mind. Because you first have a thought, and then comes feeling. Right now, if I say, we are happy, yes, so the smile just comes. Feeling, oh, it's so good. And when I said, we'll say, what a terrible day. So my physical appearance changed. Everything's like the inside, can feel tension. So everything is about thoughts. We have to be, like you said, guards. And for me, it's just great question and experience because I had to change my story in my mind about what happened before I could heal. And I healed that part because when you are, it's my belief, when you are able to stand up front of people or even in front of yourself and look in the mirror and speak out loud about what happened, there is a healing. If you are still not able to speak about that, I believe that you have still work to do. I joined the healing journey long time ago, and it took really long time. You probably would say too long. But I found I was reaching, like I said, I was reaching to coaches and counselors, all kind of people. But the one that really helped me show up just in 2015, so not too long ago, I was introduced to journal writing, and it was coaching through journaling, what I now do with my clients. And it's just changed my life. It's basically saved my marriage that I'm in now. It's fine. Should I finish? Oh, okay. All right. I just want to make sure. Yes, so journal was the tool that really helped me, and the coach that I finally was able to meet show up in the right time. And I believe I healed that part. But I think healing is like the ongoing process, like the lifetime process, because it's a life. There's stuff happening all the time. So I'll give you an example. I left Poland because of what happened to me, to run away from my feelings and pain. I came to US, but I came with my mind, and my thoughts and my pain over the ocean with me. So even I wasn't there, I found new stuff that was painful. I was blaming myself that, oh, your English is not good enough, oh, your accent is terrible. So it depends what mindset we have. You will have it, like we said, you have a choice. So mindset is very, very important part during the healing process and going through resilience. Anyone else want to share something?
I'd like to share.
Yes.
So, we all have our shares of sorrows, sadnesses, happy moments. And through my experience, I've understood that the first thing to overcome whatever we are going is very important to accept. Because whenever we have something that hasn't worked well for us, first thing is that we don't accept that it has happened. And we have that question, why me? And we are very sad, we are drowned in sadness, and then comes the anger. That this person or this situation has made it happen for me, to me. We don't realize that what is happening, it is happening for us. There is something that we will learn, because in schools and colleges we don't learn how to live life, how to deal with these things. And with that experience, the moment I accepted that this has happened, suddenly the fight inside me ended. And I see, when I work with people, I see that fight just ends. And then comes the open gateway that what do I do about it? And that's where we step into a world where we are recreating something. So that's what you, as you said, resilience. And that is where we are able to create happiness.
Okay, so you went through, I don't know what, and what did you decide when you was coming out of this difficult time?
So first thing is acceptance that this is happening.
Yes.
And with acceptance, a lot of things open up. Otherwise, there's so much of fight inside me. More than outside, the fight is inside me. Or most of the people, the fight is inside. The moment the battle ends, there is peace. And with peace in the head and heart, you see that there are a lot more things that are doable. Otherwise, you're busy with the fight. Busy with the fight.
Release your energy.
Yeah, it just that negative energy, or it's all the time. Even like you are sleeping, you have some dreams. You get up, you have that fight inside you. You're walking, you're eating, you're actually eating the anger or the sadness. You're walking, you're actually walking the anger or the sadness.
And why do you think this anger is there?
Because something that I wanted wasn't happening.
Yes, because we humans, we create stories
Yeah.
that the life should operate like we want it. If it's not, then we fight it. But when you are on a spiritual journey, or you grow and you surround yourself with people who support you, finally you get the awareness. Yeah, like I have to surround. The life is life. It's not gonna always be on my terms, but what I'm gonna do about it. And I think it's the resilience.
Do you mind if I add on to acceptance?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Based on what I went through, after acceptance, what I found forgiveness. Forgiveness for myself, for thinking that it was my fault that I had that fault, and also forgiveness for like the stage and the workplace that created that small stage and all that. So when I practiced forgiveness for myself and others, then I was willing to let go of the anger, that I had, and I was willing to open myself up for what you call it, suggestions, that the doctors, the counselors was giving to me.
Absolutely, acceptance is after awareness, because to me it's first you are getting to aware what is going on with you, why I have all these feelings there. There's always some belief behind it. But when you get aware, then you have to make a decision. Okay, what now? So accept what happened, and now where I'm going. That's what I think.
I remember from a past web, I had a co-speaker and we were both speaking on something around vulnerability, and
Okay.
she had used a very good line that I've forgiven many people without them asking for forgiveness.
Yes.
I love that. It stayed with me.
Make me
That's
so
really cool.
peaceful once you
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
So I'm gonna, because we have another expert here, I'm gonna give him an opportunity to share his expertise with us. Thank you.
Okay, just staying on the theme of resilience, given that Beata arrived today expecting to be one of 4 speakers and ended up holding the stage completely on her own for so long. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's have a massive round of applause for Beata. And given that I don't have a slide to introduce me, or an MC this evening, the day's just passing fast, so fast. This afternoon, I guess I'm just going to have to introduce myself. So, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from the UK, please put your hands together for international speaker, Mr. Roger Kingston. I tell you what, as a typical reserve Brit, you don't know how far outside my comfort zone that actually was. So, I think Bridget's left us now, but she was asking for a definition of resilience. And obviously I have no slides, so this is a real test of the memory. So, just to start with a couple of dictionary definitions of resilience. The first one is to grow stronger, healthier, or more successful as a result of something bad happening. The other dictionary definition that I usually quote is the ability of of something to return to its usual form after being bent, stretched or pulled, etc. Now the example given for that is nylon. Well, I think given that I've no longer got the legs for nylons, even though it is the Women's Economic Forum, I think we'll stick with the first dictionary definition. Or we could drill down a little deeper and look at the psychologist's definition. The first one being the ability to overcome trauma. The second one being the ability to grow from a challenge in order to make future hardships more possible to deal with. Now, I would normally say I've not been invited along, but I haven't been invited along. I just happened to be in the right room at the right time. And I would say to any fellow speakers, if ever you're offered a stage or there's the opportunity to grab it, then definitely take it. And I'm sure Beata would agree, your fellow speakers will appreciate that as well when they find they've got the job to do for themselves. So I'm not here just to quote definitions either. Had Bridget still been here, I think that would have helped her. And if you get to speak to Bridget, actually, she shared a story very close to her own heart on something that happened to her about authenticity. And little does she realise, I think she's absolutely the epitome of what resilience stands for. But obviously, it's not my place to steal her material, but well worth a chat with Bridget. So what I will do is share with you my own story of resilience, and I feel in a way that I've already given you the steak before the sizzle, but not to worry, we'll go with it anyway. So, on the 9th of June 2013, I was taking my beloved black and white Patterdale Terrier dog, Jasper, for a walk. If you were to take a deep breath in through the nose, you could also almost smell that fantastic fragrance of fresh cut grass. In the distance, you'd be able to hear the occasional roar of traffic on the usually busy main road. It is, however, just before midnight on a Sunday night. It takes your eyes a moment or two to adjust to the dimness of the street lamps, in contrast to the pub you would have found me in for the previous 12 hours. Now, I know I'm an Englishman and we've got a reputation to live down to, but I'd not been in the pub on an all-day drinking session. I'd been there on my feet working in my role as bar manager for the previous 12 hours. So as we left that pub and walked past you, you may see us both with a smile on our face. You may even notice that both Jasper and myself had a spring in our step. For me, them were the days. What you can't have known is that you'll be witnessing me take my last walk as an able-bodied person. A walk that was almost the last thing I was to do in my life ever. As there were 3 people waiting for me that evening, and it wasn't until it was too late you would have seen the fear come into my eyes and the sweat come onto my brow as I realised that each of them was wearing a mask or balaclava, carrying a fence post or baseball bat. So at this point, I had a choice to make. Did I make the choice of flight and try and run to safety? Well, given there were 3 of them all coming in from directions, and the only direction open to me was uphill, wasn't much chance that was going to work. Did I go with the option of fight? Well, I'm sure we all agree that violence is never the answer, and even if it was, one unarmed man and his dog against 3 people with weapons, that was never going to work out in my favour anyway. So I had to make the conscious choice of freeze, and the attack began. Now I'll leave it to you to imagine what happened next, as the chances are whatever you're imagining is probably not as graphic as what actually happened. And I had to find the resilience to stay conscious through every sickening blow, as I knew that was the only chance that I had of staying alive. As I said, I don't go into too much detail, it was a gruesome attack. Suffice to say, I genuinely hope that you never find yourself in a situation where you're laying in the road, hearing the sound of your own bones break, each time you swallow, tasting your own blood. That's the situation you would have found me in on the 9th of June 2013. So moving forward a very short distance now, in fact in less than an hour, you would have found me at Sheffield's Northern General Hospital. Again, you would find it difficult to see at this time because of the bright examination lamp shining down. That fantastic fragrance of fresh cut grass that I spoke of earlier has been replaced by that sweet, sickly, clinical smell that all hospitals seem to have about them. I'm sure you know the one. And again, this was a test of my resilience. You see, within a week of being in hospital, I managed to go and contract myself MRSA, yay me! On top of everything else I was dealing with. And that meant that 3 months was spent in isolation, where I had to find the resilience to deal with the loneliness of that room between visiting hours and particularly overnight. I had to find the resilience to deal with 6 operations, each in excess of 12 hours each, during that 3-month period, and 2 of those within an hour of each other. The first of them in an attempt to save my leg, the second one in a desperate attempt to save my life, as the first one resulted in complications. So I'm sure it comes as no surprise to you that after that 3 months, when I was told that everything I'd dreamt of had come true and I was going home, I was absolutely full of ecstasy. The emotion, not the drug, just in case you're wondering. But it's when I got home that was the real test of resilience. Yeah, you see me waking up in the morning, back at home where I wanted to be. But not in the bedroom, in the family living room, which was also having to serve as my bedroom, bathroom and toilet. I was living according to something known in medical terms as triangular living, between bed, wheelchair and the dreaded commode. I'm not sure what your definition of living is, but that certainly wasn't mine. And I don't mind adding at this point, given I wasn't the easiest of patients and certainly not the easiest of people to live with, having been through what I'd been through, it wasn't just a test of my resilience, it was also a test of my wife Claire of 25 years this month resilience, and our then 15-year-old daughter Tash. I'd just like to take a minute to acknowledge Tash as an example of resilience in a younger person, as so many 15-year-olds would have thought, what's the importance of exams in the grand scheme of things when we don't even know whether my dad's going to live or not? But not Tash. Her view was, I'm going to do the very best I can under the circumstances, and that way, if my dad does survive, he'll be able to add my exam results to the ever-growing long list of things that he's proud of me for. Now, I know we're gathered here from around the world, we all have very different education systems, but I stand before you one proud dad able to share with you today that despite everything she was up against, Tash left school with 11 GCSEs at grade B and above. So if you're looking for an example of resilience in the youth of today, then Tash is certainly that example. So I also, during that time, had to find the resilience to face people again. Now, given that I've shared with you, I've been a live-in bar manager, you may well be thinking, well, what's the big deal? Given that my livelihood was inviting what were effectively strangers into what was effectively my living room. What I haven't shared with you is the attack had such a knock on my confidence that when Claire said to me 2 days before being discharged from hospital, why don't we go to the hospital canteen for a change of scenery, I went pale, broke into a cold sweat and started shaking from top to toe at the prospect of facing people again. So to have gone from that to without any preparation whatsoever to be able to stand before you today and share this talk from the heart with you, I feel I'm practicing what I preach when it comes to talking about resilience. So I'm almost done. I'd just like to say that I'm a big believer that everything that happens, the good and the bad, is what makes us the people that we are today. And should I now come across those three people that tried to take my life on the 9th of June 2013, it was mentioned earlier about resilience leading to forgiveness. I could now shake those three people by the hand and thank them for the positive difference they've made in my life. Because instead of serving pints of Stella to the locals, I'm using this story to serve and inspire you good people of Women Economic Forum here in India. So in conclusion, I would just like to thank you for taking the time to hear me today, as in doing so, you have made my trauma count for something worthwhile, and for that I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Can you stand up and do standing ovation for this guy? He helped, like I was talking about tribe and how can I serve you today? He just came and helped me on the stage because I was just me for the 45 minutes and I was ready for 10 minutes.